But in that moment, I heard an engine turn. But in that moment, I heard an engine turn off. My son had arrived without warning. And when he saw me with the broom in my hand and my eyes full of tears, he froze. There are moments in life that split you in two, moments where the world stops and you realize that something has broken forever. For me, that moment was a random Saturday in March, under the unforgiving sun at 11 in the morning, with an old broom in my hands and the bitter taste of humiliation in my mouth. My name is Martha. I am 67 years old, and the woman screaming at me as if I were her employee was my daughter-in-law. My daughter-in-law forced me to sweep the sidewalk. Stop acting like the lady of the house mother-in-law. Do something useful for once. I stayed silent. I swallowed my tears and kept sweeping. But in that moment, I heard an engine turn off. My son had arrived without warning, and when he saw me with the broom in my hand and my eyes full of tears, he froze. There are moments in life that split you in two. Moments where the world stops and you realize that something has broken forever. For me, that moment was a random Saturday in March under the unforgiving sun at 11 in the morning, with an old broom in my hands and the bitter taste of humiliation in my mouth. My name is Martha. I am 67 years old, and the woman screaming at me as if I were her employee was my daughter-in-law. But before you think I am one of those bitter mothers-in-law who complain about everything, let me tell you something. I built that house with my own hands. Well, with my husband Oliver's hands and mine. Brick by brick, penny by penny. For 32 years, we worked like animals to have a decent roof over our heads, a place where our family could grow without fear. That morning, while the bristles of the broom scraped against the concrete of the sidewalk, I felt like every stroke was erasing a piece of me. The neighbors were watching me from their windows. Mrs. Robinson, the one on the corner, was shaking her head. Young Lucy, who always greeted me with affection, had glassy eyes. And Jessica, my daughter-in-law, was standing at the entrance of my house, with her arms crossed, watching me like a prison warden. "Faster, mother-in-law. My friends are coming at 2, and I do not want them to see this looking like a pigsty." Every word was a slap in the face. But the worst part was not what she was saying, it was that I was allowing it. How did I get here? How did a woman who raised a son alone, who managed a business, who survived the death of her husband, end up sweeping her own sidewalk while her daughter-in-law treated her like a servant? The sun was burning the back of my neck. Sweat was running down my back. My hands were trembling not just from the effort, but from the contained rage from the pain of seeing myself reduced to this. And then I heard the engine. A navy blue Ford SUV braked right in front of the house. I recognized that car before I saw who was getting out. It belonged to Matt, my son, my only son. He was supposed to be in Chicago at a business meeting until Monday. What was he doing here? The door opened. Matt stepped down with his briefcase in his hand with that look of exhaustion he always wore after traveling. But when he saw me, when his eyes met mine, everything changed. I stood paralyzed, the broom still in my hands. The tears which I had managed to hold back began to roll down my cheeks without permission. Matt looked at me. He looked at the broom. He looked at Jessica standing in the doorway with that look of smugness. And his face, my God, his face transformed into something I had never seen before. "What is going on here?" His voice was cold, controlled, dangerous. Jessica went pale. For the first time in months, I saw fear in her eyes. "Matt, honey, it is so good that you arrived early. Your mom was..." "My mom was what?" The silence that followed was deafening. Mrs. Robinson came out of her house. She could not hold back any more. "Young Matt, your wife, spoke horribly to your mother. We all saw it. She put her to sweep the sidewalk as if she were... She could not finish the sentence. Matt's briefcase fell to the ground with a dry thud. He walked into the house without saying another word. I followed him, my legs shaking, not knowing what was going to happen. Jessica came behind, trying to explain, to soften, to lie. My son stood in the middle of the living room, that living room I had decorated with so much love. But something was different. He noticed it too. He turned slowly, looking at every corner. His eyes were searching for something. "Mom," his voice broke, "where are the photos of my dad?" And right there in that moment, something inside me exploded. All the humiliations I had swallowed, all the insults disguised as advice, all the times they made me feel like I was in the way in my own home. "Did your wife put them away?" I said, with a voice I did not recognize as my own. She said they made the living room look outdated. Matt closed his eyes. He clenched his fists. "What else did she put away, Mom?" And then everything came out like a river breaking a dam. I told him about the wicker rocking chair where his father read the newspaper every afternoon, stored in a storage unit. I told him about the burgundy curtains that I embroidered myself, changed without asking me. I told him about the lists of chores, the hurtful words about feeling like an intruder in the home I built. Matt did not interrupt. He just listened. And with every word of mine, his expression hardened more. Jessica tried to defend herself. "Honey, she is exaggerating. I just wanted to modernize the house, make it more—" "Modernize it?" Matt cut her off with an icy stare. "Or erase us." Then he took out his cell phone. His fingers were trembling while he looked for something on the screen. "There is something I need to show you, Mom." What I saw on that phone, what I discovered in that moment, was only the beginning. Because it turns out I was not the only one whom Jessica had been deceiving, and what was about to be revealed was going to destroy everything we thought we knew. If this story is stirring something inside, you do not go anywhere. Subscribe to this channel because what is coming is something I never imagined could happen to me. And I need someone to listen to it. What do you think Matt discovered on that cell phone? How far had Jessica gone in her plan? Wait to hear what comes next. Because when the truth came to light, even I was left in shock. Before telling you what Matt discovered on that cell phone, I need you to understand something. I was not always this scared woman sweeping other people's sidewalks in her own house. There was a time when I was strong, when my hands did not shake, when no one, absolutely no one, dared to disrespect me. That woman died 12 years ago on a Tuesday in October, when Oliver's heart stopped without warning. We were having breakfast. He had just turned 58. I was 55. We'd been married for 33 years, and we still held hands when we walked through the park. We still laughed at jokes that only we understood. That morning, I made his coffee like always strong with a pinch of cinnamon. He was reading the newspaper, complaining about politics like every day. Suddenly, he dropped the newspaper. He looked at me with a strange expression. He opened his mouth to say something, and he collapsed. A massive heart attack, the doctors said. He did not suffer, they assured me, as if that helped. I was left alone with a 3-bedroom house in the suburbs with sand-colored walls that he had painted himself, with a garden where he grew purple lilacs because he knew they were my favorite flowers, with memories in every corner, and a silence that weighed like stone. But I was also left with something else, with a plot of land up by the lake that we bought when Matt was 10, thinking about building a cottage someday, a piece of land that was now worth $200,000, and with savings of $50,000 that we gathered storm after storm, crisis after crisis. Oliver and I were never rich. He worked at a hardware store, and I had a small stationery shop across from a high school. I sold notebooks, pens, copies, nothing glamorous. But it was honest. It was ours. When Oliver died, many thought I was going to crumble, that I was going to sell everything and live off my son's charity. But no. I continued with the stationery shop for 5 more years. I would get up at 6 in the morning, open at 7, serve the students, the teachers, the ladies of the neighborhood who went to make copies of medical prescriptions. I would get home at 8 at night, make myself a chamomile tea, sit in the wicker rocking chair that had been Oliver's and cry. but the next day I would get up again. That is how it was for years. Matt was already grown working at a logistics company in Detroit. He visited me every 2 weeks. I told him I was fine not to worry that his mom was strong. And I was. Or at least I thought so. The house. Oh, this house. Every inch has a story. The burgundy curtains in the living room, I embroidered them myself during a whole winter, while Oliver watched football games and brought me coffee. The kitchen floor, we chose it together at a tile store. Downtown, haggling until we got a good price. The garden was Oliver's pride. He planted those lilacs when Matt turned 5. So that there is always color in this house, he said, and boy was there. Purple intense climbing covering the fence like a waterfall of flowers. In the living room, we had an old dark wood cabinet where we put the family photographs. Oliver with Matt in his arms on the day of his baptism. Me pregnant with my hands on my belly, smiling in front of the old church. Matt graduating from college with his blue gown, and us on each side bursting with pride. And the rocking chair, that damn wicker rocking chair that Oliver bought at a flea market during our only anniversary trip. He sat there every afternoon with the newspaper and his coffee rocking slowly while he told me about his day. After his death, I would sit there, close my eyes, rock myself. And for a moment, for a brief instant, I felt that he was still with me. That house was not just walls and a roof. It was my entire life. It was Oliver. It was Matt as a child running down the hallway. It was every sacrifice, every early morning, every bill paid with sweat. That is why, when 3 years ago, my son told me he had met someone, I was excited. Matt was already 35. He worked so much that he had never had a serious relationship. Seeing him in love with that light in his eyes made me happy. Her name is Jessica Mom. She works selling insurance. She is intelligent, independent. I think she is the one. I met her on a Sunday. She arrived in a sky blue dress, discreet heels, perfect smile, straight black hair down to her shoulders, impeccable makeup, studied manners. Mrs. Martha, what a pleasure to meet you. Matt has spoken so much about you. We sat in the living room. I had made coffee and pecan cookies. Jessica looked around with those calculating eyes, touched the back of the sofa, observed the curtains, saw the photographs. "What a cozy house," she said. But there was something in her tone, something I could not decipher then. Matt was happy I wanted to be happy for him, so I smiled and poured more coffee. During their dating phase, Jessica was always polite, but there were comments, small, subtle. "Oh, mother-in-law, you still use embroidered tablecloths. I prefer minimalist ones. They are more modern. These photos are nice, but so many in one living room make it look cluttered, do not you think? Mrs. Martha, with all due respect, that rocking chair is already very old. Have you not thought about throwing it away?" I swallowed every comment. I did not want to be the difficult mother-in-law, the one who ruins her son's happiness. They got married in a small ceremony. Jessica insisted it be in a minimalist garden without flashy flowers. "It is more elegant," she said. I kept silent, although I would have loved to see lilacs like the ones in my garden. The first 6 months they lived in a rented apartment downtown. It seemed like everything was going well, until Jessica called me one day. "Mother-in-law, I need to talk to you. Can I visit you?" She arrived alone. She sat in the living room. She took my hands with a warmth that I now know was completely fake. "Mrs. Martha, I am worried about you. Living alone at your age is dangerous. What happens if you fall? If something happens to you and no one is there to help you, Matt and I have been talking. Why do not you come live with us? You deserve to be accompanied, to be taken care of. We love you very much." Her words sounded beautiful. But when I analyze them now, I realize she never said, "Come live in our house." She said, "with us." As if the house were already hers. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I said yes. I thought I was making the right decision. I thought I was going to be close to my son, that we were going to be a family. I did not know I was handing my entire life into the wrong hands. The move was fast, too fast. Jessica organized everything in less than 2 weeks. She hired a moving company. She packed my things without asking me what I wanted to take and what I did not. When I tried to protest, she smiled at me with that poisonous sweetness that I later learned to recognize. Oh, mother-in-law, do not worry about anything. I will take care of it. You just relax. Relax. As if uprooting an entire life is something done without feeling anything. The day I closed the door of my house for the last time, I stood on the threshold for several minutes. I looked back. The garden with the purple lilacs, the living room window where so many times I watched life go by, the green gate that Oliver painted the last summer we spent together. "Are you sure about this, Mom?" asked Matt, carrying the last box. I wanted to tell him no. I wanted to scream at him that I felt like my soul was being ripped out. But I saw the happiness in his eyes. I saw how Jessica hugged him, how she whispered something in his ear that made him smile. "Yes, son, I am sure." A lie, the first of many that I swallowed. Matt and Jessica's house was modern. White walls, minimalist furniture, everything in shades of gray and beige, cold, impersonal, like a magazine photo where no one actually lives. "Welcome to your new home, mother-in-law," said Jessica, opening her arms in a theatrical gesture. They assigned me the back bedroom, the smallest one, the one that faced the service alley where you could hear the noise of the neighbors' washing machines and the constant barking of a dog that never stopped howling. "It is the quietest one," Jessica justified. "Here the street noise will not bother you." My furniture did not fit. Oliver's and my bed, where we had slept for over 30 years, did not match the aesthetic of the house. It stayed in a cousin's storage unit. The wicker rocking chair ended up in the junk room. My embroidered curtains were replaced by gray vertical blinds. It is just that old things collect dust. Mother-in-law and you with your age need more hygienic spaces. My age. That phrase became the excuse for everything. The first days were confusing. Jessica acted attentive. She made me tea. She asked me if I needed anything. But there were unspoken rules that I was discovering through hard knocks. I could not move anything from its place. Everything has its spot, mother-in-law. I could not cook without her permission. It is just that I have a system. Do not be offended. I could not invite my friends. Let me know ahead of time to have the house presentable. I could not sit in the living room if she had visitors. It is just that I need privacy with my friends, do you understand? Matt worked all day. He left at 7 in the morning. He came back at 9 at night. He arrived tired, ate dinner, quickly locked himself in his study to finish tasks. On weekends, he slept late exhausted. I almost did not see him. And when I saw him, Jessica was always present. By the second month, the list started. I found them on the dining table every morning, written in that perfect handwriting of Jessica's on paper with her work letterhead. "Good morning, mother-in-law. Today we need to wash the bedding iron, Matt's shirts, dust the entire living room, prepare lunch for 2 in the afternoon, water the garden plants, clean the bathrooms." At first, I thought it was a suggestion, a kind reminder. But when I did not finish everything because my back hurt, Jessica arrived from work with an expression I had not seen before. "Mother-in-law, can I talk to you?" I sat down, already sensing what was coming. "Look, I understand that you are used to your rhythm. But here things work differently. Matt and I work all day. We earn the money that maintains this house. You are here all day. Does it not seem fair that you collaborate?" Collaborate. What a pretty word to say, working without pay in a house that is no longer yours. It is just that my back hurt, Jessica. I am 67 years old and... Oh, mother-in-law, my mom is 70 and she does not stop. It is a matter of attitude. That comparison became constant. Her mom who was younger than me but more active. Her mom who cooked better. Her mom who did not complain. I started fulfilling the lists. Not for pleasure, but because the atmosphere became unbearable when I did not. Jessica did not scream. It was not necessary. Her silence was worse. Her sighs. her looks of disappointment when Matt asked why the house was neglected. Jessica's friends visited the house every 15 days, women her age, elegant with designer bags and loud laughter. I took refuge in my room when they arrived, but one day I heard my name. And your mother-in-law. Oh, friend, do not even talk to me about it. She is one of those old-school mothers-in-law, you know. She thinks everything should be like in her time. Laughter. And what do you do with her? Well, I have her here. I gave her a roof, food, but that thing about her feeling like the owner of everything. No. Well done, friend. You have to set boundaries from the beginning. I stood paralyzed behind the door of my room. My heart was beating so fast I thought they were going to hear it. She gave me a roof, she. That night I could not sleep. I sat on the edge of my narrow bed in that room that smelled of dampness, and I thought about my house. In my house, the one that was still there with the purple lilacs and Oliver's memories. What was I doing here? But then I thought about Matt, about not causing him problems, about not being the conflictive mother-in-law who ruins marriages. So I swallowed the pain. Again. And I kept sweeping, washing, cooking, disappearing. Every day a little more. Now I understand that one does not lose their place all at once. You lose it little by little. In every comment you let pass. In every humiliation you swallow. In every time you prioritize peace over your dignity. And when you want to react, it is already too late. There is a difference between being a guest and being a prisoner. It took me 6 months to understand it. It all started with small things. So small they seemed insignificant, so subtle that when I tried to explain them to Matt, I myself sounded exaggerated. One day I arrived from the store and found that my favorite quilt had disappeared. It was a hand-knitted quilt that my mother gave me when I got married, wine-colored with embroidered yellow flowers. I had cared for it like a treasure for 40 years. Jessica, have you seen my quilt? Oh, mother-in-law, that thing was unraveling. I put it in a bag to donate. It is just that it did not look good anymore, do you understand? We have to renew ourselves. Renew ourselves. As if memories were trash to be discarded. I went to look for it. I checked every corner of the house. I never found it. When I mentioned the quilt to Matt, he sighed tiredly. Mom, if it was already old... Jessica is right. I will buy you a new one. Okay. He did not understand. It was not about how old it was. It was about what it meant. But I stopped insisting. I was already learning that my feelings did not weigh the same as Jessica's comfort. The photographs were next. One Sunday, I woke up and the living room was different. The wooden cabinet where I had carefully placed the family portraits was empty. In its place, Jessica had put 3 abstract paintings, gray smudges on a white background. Where are the photos? I put them in a box, mother-in-law. It is just that they made the living room look very cluttered. These works of art are more modern. Do not you think they give spaciousness to the space? Spaciousness, while my entire life disappeared into boxes. But are the photos of Matt as a child there? His dad's, the ones of... Yes, they are all packed. If you want to see them, I will put them in your room. In my room. That space of 6 by 10 feet where a bed barely fit. That night, I waited for Matt to arrive. I had to tell him. I had to make him see what was happening. Son, I need to talk to you. Tell me, Mom, but make it fast because I am dead tired. Jessica took down all the photographs in the living room. Matt did not even look up from his cell phone. Yes, she showed me the new paintings. They look good, right? More modern. But they are your dad's photos, Matt. Your childhood ones. Mom, they still exist. They are just not in the living room. It is not a big deal. It is not a big deal. Those 5 words became the epitaph of my complaints. Oliver's rocking chair disappeared on a Thursday afternoon. I arrived from accompanying Mrs. Robinson to the doctor, and it was no longer on the porch where I had placed it. And the rocking chair. That one. I sent it to be upholstered mother-in-law. It was horrible, all faded. In 2 weeks they will bring it back like new. 2 weeks passed, then 4, then 2 months. Jessica, has the rocking chair arrived? Oh, I forgot to ask the upholsterer. I will do it later. She never did, and I never saw that rocking chair again. Years later, I learned she had sold it at a second-hand market for $40. The rocking chair where Oliver sat every afternoon. The only piece of him I had left, $40. But at that moment, I still did not know how far she was capable of going. The changes accelerated. Jessica redecorated the whole house in less than 3 months. The walls that were peach-colored she painted light gray. The floral curtains I had hung were replaced by white roller blinds. The embroidered cushions disappeared. The paintings of landscapes we bought on a trip were replaced by black and white photographs of European buildings. The house became unrecognizable, cold, empty, like a dental office, and I became invisible. When Jessica's friends visited, she walked them through the whole house, showing off every change. I did this. It was horrible before Imagine. All very outdated. But you see, with good taste, you can transform any space. I listened from the kitchen, washing the dishes they dirtied, preparing the coffee they drank, cleaning the crumbs they left. One of her friends came into the kitchen for more sugar. Oh, and who are you? I froze. They had been in the house for 2 hours and did not even know I existed. I am Matt's mom. Ah, how nice to have help at home, right? Help. She confused me with the housekeeper, and Jessica, who heard from the living room, did not correct her. The lists of chores grew. They were no longer just domestic chores. Now they included specific schedules. 7 in the morning, prepare breakfast. 8 in the morning, do laundry. 10 in the morning, mop the whole house. 12 noon, go to the grocery store. Shopping list attached. 2 in the afternoon, lunch ready. 4 in the afternoon, ironing. 6 in the afternoon, prepare dinner. 8 at night, wash dishes. My entire day programmed, without spaces for me, without time to breathe. When I dared to say that I needed a day to go to the doctor because my knees hurt, Jessica sighed dramatically. Oh, mother-in-law, precisely that day, some of Matt's clients are coming for dinner. I need the house to be impeccable, and for you to prepare your famous pot roast. Can you go to the doctor another day? It was not a question. It was an order disguised as a request. I canceled the medical appointment. Matt arrived later and later. We ate dinner, the 3 of us, in silence. He checked his phone. Jessica talked about her day, her sales, her achievements. I chewed slowly, trying not to make noise, not to be in the way. Does not the house look incredible now, honey? Asked Jessica. Yes, it is very nice, Matt responded without looking up. Your mom helped me a lot today. She cooked deliciously. Helped, as if it were a favor and not my daily obligation. One night, while I was washing the dishes, I heard Jessica talking on the phone with her sister Linda. No, do not worry, I have everything under control. The lady does what I tell her. At first I struggled a little. You know how old women are, they think they still rule. But she already understood how things are here. I dried my trembling hands. I left the kitchen straight to my room. I sat on the bed and looked around. That tiny space without my things, without my memories, without anything to remind me who I had been. How had I allowed us to get here? At what moment did I stop being Martha, the owner of her own life, to become the mother-in-law, the one who obeys, in silence? I went to bed that night with a weight in my chest. I did not know that the worst was still to come, that what I had lived until then was barely the prologue. Because Jessica not only wanted to control my day-to-day, she wanted to erase me completely. They say emotional abuse is like boiling water. It rises in temperature little by little, degree by degree, until when you realize it, you are already burned. The day I stopped being a person and became a piece of furniture was a Tuesday in November. Jessica organized a dinner for her work colleagues. 8 elegant women perfumed with impeccable nails and rehearsed laughter. I spent all day cooking. BBQ chicken, mac and cheese, coleslaw, homemade biscuits because Jessica insisted that store-bought ones taste like cardboard. I got up at 6 in the morning. At 7 at night, when the guests started to arrive, I was still in the kitchen. My hands smelled of onions. My back hurt. My feet were swollen inside my old shoes. Mother-in-law, when you serve, do it discreetly. And please put on the clean apron. The one you have on is stained. I served dinner like a ghost. I went in, left. The plates went out. The women did not even turn to look at me. They talked about sales commissions, trips to Cancun they were planning. Jessica shone. She was the perfect hostess. She smiled, joked, filled wine glasses. Jessica, your house is beautiful. And this food, chef's kiss. Thanks, girls. You know I love to cook. I froze behind the kitchen door. She cooked. I had spent 11 hours in that kitchen. My hands were red from so much washing. My blouse smelled of fried oil. And she took the credit as if it were nothing. When they finished dinner, one of her friends got up to go to the bathroom and pass through the kitchen. She saw me washing the mountain of dirty dishes. Hey, how much do you charge per event? I took a moment to understand what she was asking me. Excuse me, how much do you charge? I am looking for someone for a baby shower. You cook really well. I do not. I am Matt's mom. Her expression changed. Discomfort. Secondhand embarrassment. Oh, sorry. It is just that... I thought that... She did not finish the sentence. She went back quickly to the living room. I stayed there with my hands submerged in soapy water, wondering at what moment I had turned into something so insignificant that people confused me with the domestic help. There was nothing wrong with working in a house. My Aunt Rosie had been a housekeeper all her life, and she was the most dignified woman I knew. The problem was not the work. The problem was the invisibility. It was not existing as a person. It was that my own daughter-in-law allowed them to confuse me and said nothing to correct it. From that night on, dinners became frequent. Every 2 weeks, Jessica organized gatherings. I cooked, served, cleaned. She received the compliments. Matt was never at those dinners. He always had meetings, trips, tasks. His absence became so normal that I stopped missing him. Or maybe I just got used to the abandonment. The lists of chores were no longer enough for Jessica. Now she came with an imaginary stopwatch. Mother-in-law, that bathroom should have been ready 20 minutes ago. What happened? It is just that the tile was very... I am not interested. When something takes longer than necessary, it is because it is not being done right. Learn to organize yourself better. Organize myself. As if my 67 years and my aching knees were just excuses of a lazy woman. I stopped eating with them, not because Jessica asked me directly, but because the atmosphere was so tense that my stomach closed up. I ate in the kitchen, standing up quickly. Whatever was left over from what I prepared for them. I lost almost 20 pounds in 4 months. Mom, you look very thin. Matt told me one Sunday he saw me closer up. I am fine, son. Are you sure? Are you eating well? Jessica interrupted before I could answer. Oh, honey, your mom is perfect. At our age, it is good to watch our weight. Right, mother-in-law. I nodded, because I had already learned that contradicting Jessica in front of Matt only caused more problems. Sundays were the worst. Jessica invited her family, her mom, Mrs. Stella, her sister Linda, with her 2 teenage children. Her dad, Robert, who never spoke but looked with contempt at everything that was not to his liking. I prepared food for 9 people. They sat in the living room and the dining room, talking, laughing. I served, picked up, washed. Oh, Jessica, how great that your mother-in-law helps you, said Mrs. Stella. Helps. That word again, as if it were my choice and not my sentence. One afternoon while I was mopping the living room floor, I heard Linda ask Jessica in a low voice, "And your mother-in-law does not have a place to live. Is that why she is here?" She has a house, but she is already too old to live alone. Besides, this way she helps me with the chores. It is a win-win. Win-win mutual gain, as if I were gaining anything beyond daily humiliations. My only escape was Mrs. Robinson, my lifelong neighbor who now lived 3 blocks away. I visited her on Wednesday afternoons when Jessica left early to exercise. "Martha, every time I see you, you look worse," Mrs. Robinson told me with those eyes full of concern. "What is that woman doing to you?" "Nothing, Robbie, I am just tired." "That is not tiredness. That is sadness. It is consuming you." Mrs. Robinson was right, but admitting it out loud meant accepting that I had made the worst mistake of my life. One night, reviewing some papers in my room, I found the title "Deed to my house." The house that was still mine. The one I had left locked up waiting for me. I ran my fingers over the document, over my name written there, Martha Davis, widow of Miller. When had I stopped being that woman? When had I allowed them to reduce me to the mother-in-law, the lady, the one who helps I put the document away? But that night, I dreamed of my garden, of the purple lilacs, of Oliver's rocking chair, of the curtains I embroidered myself. I dreamed of freedom, and I woke up in that 6x10 cell they now called my room. Things got worse when Jessica decided she needed to remodel the master bathroom, an expense of $5,000. "It is an investment in the house," she explained to Matt. "It adds value." The house, as if it were theirs, as if I did not exist. Matt accepted without hesitation. He always accepted everything Jessica proposed, but I, in my stupidity, made a mistake. "Matt, do not you think that is a lot of money? Maybe we could—" "Mom, Jessica knows about these things. She works, she understands investments." The look Jessica shot me was pure triumph. Message received. I did not have an opinion. I did not decide. I did not matter. Weeks passed, months. I was aging faster than normal. The mirror showed me a woman I did not recognize. Sunken eyes, dull skin, slumped shoulders. Where was the Martha who built a business, the one who raised a son alone, the one who survived losing the love of her life? That woman was dead. Or at least, that is what I believed. Until that Saturday in March arrived. That damn Saturday that changed everything. The day Jessica handed me a broom and told me to clean the sidewalk, and my God, I obeyed. Sometimes you do not realize you are at the bottom of the well until you look up and see no light. And then you have 2 options. Stay there or start climbing even if your hands bleed. It was Saturday, March 22nd, 11 in the morning. The sun fell like a hammer over the suburbs. One of those days where the heat melts you from the inside and the air smells of dry earth. I was in the garden watering the plants. Jessica had insisted I plant red geraniums instead of the lilacs I wanted. "They are easier to maintain," she said. But the geraniums looked sad, as if they knew they should not be there. I was concentrated on watering when I heard the door open abruptly. "Mother-in-law!" Jessica's scream made me drop the hose. The water started spraying the grass uncontrollably. She came out with her arms crossed, frowning, dressed in neon pink track pants and brand new white sneakers. She had just returned from her spin class. "Did you see the mess on the sidewalk?" I looked up. "We'll clean them right now." Right now, it will clean them right now. Right now, it is already 11. The neighbors are going to think we are pigs that we do not take care of our things. Our things. Always that damn pronoun. Jessica let me finish watering and... No, now. She went into the house and came back with the old broom. She threw it at me, literally tossed it toward me. The handle hit me in the arm. "Stop acting like the lady of the house mother-in-law." She stood in front of me, taller, younger, more powerful. "Do something useful for once." The words went through me like knives. Something useful. As if everything I had done for months did not count. As if my entire life of work meant nothing. I felt the tears burning my eyes, but I was not going to give her the pleasure of seeing me cry. I took the broom. I went out to the street and started sweeping. The sun was burning the back of my neck. I had not put on a hat. I had not put on sunscreen. The white blouse I was wearing stuck to my back from the sweat. Stroke after stroke, the leaves accumulated in a pile. My hands were trembling, not from fatigue, from contained rage, from pure humiliation. Jessica stayed standing at the entrance of the house, watching me with her arms crossed like a foreman. "Faster, mother-in-law, my friends are coming at 2, and I do not want them to see this looking like a pigsty." Mrs. Robinson came out of her house. She was 3 houses away, but she saw me. She froze. I knew that look. It was pity mixed with indignation. Mrs. Lucy, the young woman who lived on the corner, was passing by with her baby in the stroller. She slowed down upon seeing me. Her eyes opened with surprise, with sadness. "Good morning, Mrs. Martha," she murmured. I could not answer her. If I opened my mouth, I was going to break. Mr. Jacobs, the neighbor across the street, was watering his garden. He turned off the water faucet. He looked at me. He looked at Jessica. He shook his head and went into his house. Everyone was watching me. Everyone knew. And I kept sweeping. The tears began to fall, silent, hot. I could not stop them. They slid down my cheeks, fell on the concrete, mixed with the dust. 67 years old, a whole life working, raising, surviving, building. And there I was, sweeping the sidewalk of my own house, while my daughter-in-law watched me as if I were her servant. Every stroke was a piece of dignity flying away with the dry leaves. "That is it. That is better," said Jessica with satisfaction. Then I felt it, a familiar sound that made me lift my head, an engine stopping. My heart stopped, too. It was Matt's navy blue Ford SUV. No, it could not be. He was in Chicago, at a logistics congress. He was not returning until Monday. He had told me on Thursday night before leaving, but there was his car. Parking right in front of the house, the world moved in slow motion. The door opened. Matt got down with his brown leather briefcase. He was wearing a wrinkled white shirt, loose tie, deep dark circles, the face of someone who had driven all night. His eyes found me, and I saw how something broke in his expression. I was there, his mother, with a broom in my hands, tears running down my face, hair loose and messy, clothes soaked in sweat, sweeping the sidewalk under the unforgiving sun while his wife watched me from the door. Matt dropped the briefcase. It fell to the pavement with a dull thud. "What is going on here?" His voice was different. I did not recognize it. It was cold, dangerous, controlled but about to explode. Jessica went pale. For the first time in months, I saw real fear in her eyes. "Matt, honey, what a surprise. I did not know that. What is going on here?" He repeated the question slowly. Every word was a stone falling. "Your mom was helping with... helping." Mrs. Robinson could not take it anymore. She came out of her house with that bravery that only years give. "Young Matt, your wife spoke horribly to your mother. We all saw it. She put her to sweep like she was... Mrs. Robinson could not finish. Her voice broke. Lucy also approached, still with the baby in her arms. "It is true, Mr. Matt." She yelled at her. She threw the broom at her. She has been there for more than half an hour under this sun. Matt looked at me. He really looked at me, as if he were seeing me for the first time in months. He saw the tears. He saw my trembling hands clinging to the broom. He saw Jessica's posture still in the doorway with that expression of someone who was caught in the middle of a crime. He said nothing else. He picked up his briefcase from the ground. He went into the house. I followed him. My legs barely supported me. I left the broom leaning against the wall. Jessica came behind already with her honey voice trying to fix what had just broken. "Honey, let me explain. It is just that your mom had not cleaned and..." Matt raised his hand, a simple gesture that silenced her instantly. He stood in the middle of the living room. That living room he no longer recognized. That living room that Jessica had emptied of everything of ours. He turned slowly. His eyes scanned every corner, searching. And then he asked with a voice I had never heard from him, "Mom, where are the photos of my dad?" That simple question was the key that opened the floodgate. Everything I had kept, everything I had swallowed, everything I had endured in silence for months came out. "Your wife put them away," I said, and my voice was not the same either. "She said they made the living room look outdated." Matt closed his eyes. He clenched his fists. "What else did she put away, Mom?" And then I told him everything. Everything. Sometimes it takes someone seeing you at your worst moment for you to finally dare to show the truth, because shared pain becomes lighter, or at least more visible. The words came out like an overflowing river, as if they had been dammed up for months behind a dike about to collapse. I told him about my mother's knitted quilt which disappeared, about the wicker rocking chair which never came back from the upholsterer, about the embroidered curtains that were thrown in the trash without my permission, about how every piece of Oliver, every memory of our life had been systematically erased. I told him about the endless lists, about getting up at 6 to have everything ready, about cooking for her dinners while she received the applause, about eating standing up in the kitchen because there was no longer room for me at that table. I told him about her friends confusing me with domestic help, about Mrs. Stella asking if I did not have a place to live, about Linda saying it was a win-win to have me there serving. Matt did not interrupt. He was sitting on the gray sofa that I had not chosen, hands clasped, knuckles white from so much pressure, jaw clenched. Jessica tried to intervene every 2 sentences. "That was not like that, honey. She is exaggerating. I never said that. She misunderstood. It is just that your mom is very sensitive. She takes everything personally." But Matt ignored her. His eyes were fixed on me, and in them I saw something that broke my soul. Guilt. When I finished speaking, the silence was crushing. Matt rubbed his face with both hands. He looked years older than when he had entered. "Mom, I did not know. I know my son. No, I did not realize that. I know." He stood up. He walked to the wall where our photographs used to be. Now there were abstract gray smudges hanging with millimeter precision. "Where are they?" he asked without turning around. "In boxes, in the storage room," Jessica replied with a trembling voice. "Bring them. Honey, it is just that. Bring them, now." The tone did not admit a reply. Jessica left toward the service room where the storage was. We heard her moving things. She took several minutes. Matt took the opportunity to get close to me. "Mom, forgive me." "It is not your fault, Matt. You work so much. You could not—" "I could. I should have seen you. I should have asked you. I should have—" His voice broke. "I should have defended my mother." Those words broke me more than all the humiliations combined. Jessica returned dragging 2 cardboard boxes. She dropped them in front of Matt with more force than necessary. He knelt down. He opened the first one, and what he saw left him motionless. The photographs were there, but not with care. They were thrown in some bent. Our wedding frame had broken glass. The photo of Matt with his dad on his graduation day was stained with dampness. Matt took them out one by one. His hands were shaking. "These are my memories," he murmured. "My childhood, my dad, my family. It is just that they took up a lot of space, honey, and they did not match with what, Jessica? With your paintings of gray smudges, with your minimalist aesthetic that erased my entire history." It was the first time he spoke to her like that. Jessica recoiled as if he had hit her. Matt continued taking things out of the boxes. He found an olive green shawl that had belonged to Oliver's grandmother. He found a set of antique porcelain cups that were given to us at our wedding. He found the rooster-shaped wall clock that Dad bought on a trip. "Were you going to throw all this away?" "No, I just needed space to what? To put what?" Jessica did not answer. Matt closed his eyes. He took a deep breath. When he opened them, he had made a decision. He took out his cell phone. Mom, there is something I need to show you, something I discovered 2 weeks ago. My legs started shaking again. The tone of his voice scared me. What is it, son? Sit down, please. I sat on the sofa. Matt stood by my side. Jessica stayed standing, pale as paper. A month ago, I started receiving anonymous messages. He opened his photo gallery. He showed me screenshots, messages from an unknown number, and photographs, many photographs. Jessica having lunch with a man in an elegant restaurant downtown. Jessica laughing, holding his hand. Jessica kissing him in the parking lot. Jessica entering a hotel with him. I felt the floor moving under my feet. At first I thought someone wanted to hurt us, Matt continued with a mechanical voice, that they were edited photos taken out of context. I deleted them. I did not want to believe. Matt, I can explain, Jessica started. Shut up. I had never heard him speak like that, with that icy contempt. A week ago, my accountant called me. Richard Evans, the notary friend of the family. Do you remember him? Mom. I nodded. Richard had made Oliver's will. He was an honest man, trustworthy. He told me that Jessica had gone to his office with some documents. She wanted to add her name to the deed of your house. The world stopped. What? She was carrying falsified papers, with your signature, Mom, forged. Richard realized because he has known your signature for years. He made your will the house documents when Dad died. He knew immediately it was fake. I looked at Jessica. She was against the wall, literally. That is not true. He is lying. Richard showed me the documents. I have them here. Matt opened his briefcase. He took out a manila folder. Inside, there were copies of deeds, identification signatures, my signature falsified, poorly done, but similar enough to fool someone who did not know it well. Were you going to steal my house? The words came out of my mouth like an incredulous whisper. Jessica did not answer. Her eyes were looking for an exit that did not exist. There is more, said Matt. His jaw was trembling with contained rage. I checked the bank accounts. Yours, Mom. The ones you have managed since Dad died. My accounts. But I do not. I know you gave Jessica access, so she could help you with the utility payments when you moved here. It was true. Jessica had convinced me that it was easier that way. She said she could handle paying the electricity, water, and phone bills right from her banking app. But in the last 8 months, transfers have been made from your account to an account I do not recognize. Deposits of $1,000 a month, sometimes more. I did the math in my head. My heart began to race. That is over $10,000, $12,000 exactly, plus another $15,000 in a large transfer made in December. You told her it was for a safe investment, right? I remembered that day. Ashley was very excited explaining to me about an investment fund that yielded 8% monthly returns. It sounded too good to be true, but she insisted. It is what I do with my money, mother-in-law, trust me. She told me it was safe. That account is in the name of Ashley Garcia and Chris Miller. The name hit me like a slap in the face. Who is Chris Miller? Matt showed me the photos on his phone again. The man Ashley was seeing. The man who was kissing her. The man with whom she went into hotels. He is Chris, her boyfriend. Probably since before we got married. The silence that followed was deafening. I looked at Ashley. I was looking for denial, shock, anything to indicate that Matt was wrong. But what I saw was defeat. And then something inside me changed. The sadness turned into fury, pure, burning, righteous fury. All of this, everything you did to me was just to rob me. Ashley raised her chin, a last attempt at false dignity. You do not need all that money. You have no one else. I have no one. I stood up. I have no one. My voice echoed in that empty living room. In that house, she had turned into a mausoleum. I have my son. I have my house. I have my dignity. Or at least I had it before you took it from me piece by piece. Matt put a hand on my shoulder. Mom, calm down. Breathe. but I could not calm down. Months of accumulated rage exploded like a volcano. Do you know what hurts the most, Ashley? It is not the money. It is not the house. It is that you used my son. You manipulated him. You blinded him. And you almost destroyed the only thing I had left. Matt stepped between us. Mom, I need you to trust me. Can you do that? I looked him in the eyes. My son. My only son. I have always trusted you. Then let me fix this, but in my own way. Okay, I nodded even though I did not understand what he was planning. Matt turned to Ashley. You have 1 hour to pack your personal things, just the essentials. I will send the rest later, but you are leaving today. Right now. What, Matt? This is my house. No, this was never your house. And from this moment on, it is not your marriage either. They say the truth hurts, but do you know what hurts more? The years you lost believing in lies? Ashley froze, as if Matt's words could not be real. You cannot kick me out like this. I am your wife. You are a liar, a thief, and probably an adulterer. What part of that qualifies as a wife? Matt took out his cell phone again. He dialed a number, he put it on speaker. They answered on the second ring. Mr. Matt, good afternoon. It was the voice of Richard Stevens, the attorney. Richard, I am here with my mother and with Ashley. Can you confirm what you told me on Tuesday? There was a pause. We heard papers moving on the other end. Of course. On February 26th, Mrs. Ashley Garcia appeared at my office with documents to perform a property transfer. She wanted to add her name to the deed of the property located at 347 Magnolia Street, owned by Mrs. Hope Delgado. Mrs. Hope's signature on the documents was evidently forged. I kept the copies as evidence and have filed a report with the corresponding authorities. The attempted real estate fraud is documented. Ashley's face went from white to green. That is a lie. I have video from my office security cameras. Richard interrupted with a firm voice. You arrived alone with the documents already prepared. I explained that I needed the physical presence of Mrs. Hope, and you insisted that she had given you permission and was too sick to go out. When I asked for medical proof, you left abruptly. Matt hung up. He looked at Ashley with an expression I had never seen on him. Pure contempt. Anything to say Ashley clenched her fists. There was nothing left of the sweet and polite woman I met 3 years ago. Her true face emerged like a snake shedding its skin. Fine. You want the truth? Here it is. She crossed her arms, chin up, defiant. Your mom does not need that house. She is old alone. Why does she want a 3-bedroom property? Chris and I could have used it. We could have done something productive with it. Chris and you, I repeated. My voice was trembling. Yes, Chris. My real partner. The man I love. Not like this one. She pointed at Matt with scorn. This boring workaholic who only talks about logistics and numbers. Matt did not even blink, but I saw his hands closing into fists. Since when? He asked, with a controlled voice. Does it matter? Since before we got married, if you want to know. Chris and I have been together for 5 years, but he has no money. You do. Or, well, your family does. She pointed at me with a dismissive gesture. That house in Pleasant View is easily worth $450,000. The land in the rural county is another $300,000. The savings, the investments. We are talking about almost $1 million. All for an old woman who does not even have more children. Who is she going to leave it to the cat? Every word was a stab. But curiously, they did not hurt me anymore, because I finally saw with total clarity who this woman was. So it was all for money, I said. It was not a question, obviously. Why else would I marry someone like Matt for love? Please. Love does not pay bills. It does not buy you the car you want. It does not take you to Cabo 3 times a year. Matt remained motionless, but something dark crossed his gaze. The $30,000 you transferred from my mom's account. Where are they? Ashley smiled, a cruel smile that froze my blood. In a joint account with Chris. We were going to use them for the down payment on a condo in Miami. But your nosy attorney friend ruined everything. And the money for the bathroom remodel, the $10,000, we used that too. Well, $6,000. The rest did go to the bathroom. I am not that bad, she said with poisonous sarcasm. I did not recognize this person anymore. How had I lived under the same roof with her for months without seeing what she really was? Matt took a deep breath. He took another document out of his briefcase. You signed a prenuptial agreement when we got married. Do you remember, for the first time, I saw real fear in Ashley's eyes? That is not valid. My lawyer said that. Your lawyer was wrong. The agreement states that in case of proven infidelity or financial fraud, you have no right to marital assets. Zero. Nothing. You cannot prove infidelity with some photos. Photos, Ashley, I have videos. Text messages that Richard Stevens recovered from your phone when you left it in his office. Complete conversations with Chris where you talk about the plan, where you laugh at my mother, where you plan to sell the properties. Matt slid his cell phone across the table towards her. On the screen, a text conversation. Ashley, February 14th, 10:23 at night. It is almost done, love. The old lady already signed the bank papers. She does not read anything she signs, ha ha. Chris, February 14th, 10:25 at night. And the son Ashley, February 14th, 10:26 at night. Even easier. He arrives so tired he does not even ask. Besides, he thinks I am a saint. Chris, February 14th, 10:28 at night. How much longer, Ashley? February 14th, 10:30 at night. 2 months maximum. When we have the house in my name, I leave him. We sell everything. We take off to the beach. With $1 million, we can live like kings. I felt nauseous. Literally. I had to sit down before I fell. This is, I could not find words. This is attempted fraud, theft by deception, forgery of documents and adultery, Matt said with a mechanical voice. And everything is documented, recorded with dates, times, and witnesses. Ashley tried to grab the phone, but Matt pulled it away. Do not even try. Everything is already backed up. Copies in the cloud, with my lawyer, with Richard, with the police. The police, I filed a formal complaint on Thursday. That is why I came back early from Denver. I did not go to any conference. I went to the district attorney's office to present evidence, to request restraining orders, to ensure that you can never get near my mother again. The silence that followed was absolute. Ashley finally understood that she had lost everything. You have 1 hour, Matt repeated. Pack your clothes, your personal things, no furniture, no electronics, nothing that is not yours, and get out. And where am I going to go? Not my problem. Call Chris. Call your mom. Call whoever you want. But you are leaving. Ashley looked at me then, and in her eyes I saw something that surprised me. Pleading. Mrs. Hope, please tell him not to do this. I made mistakes, but... Mistakes. The word came out of my mouth like venom. You call months of humiliation mistakes, stealing my money, trying to keep my house, using my son as a stepping stone. I stood up. I walked towards her. I had never felt so tall. I gave you my trust. I opened my life to you. I left my house for you two. And you turned me into your servant. You erased me. You robbed me. You stripped me of everything except my dignity. I stopped inches from her face. And that, my dear, that you could never take from me because you did not know where to look for it. Ashley recoiled as if I had slapped her. Matt checked his watch. 57 minutes. Ashley understood there was nothing more to say. She went up the stairs to the master bedroom. We heard her throwing things, opening drawers, crying. But I did not care anymore. I sat next to my son. I took his hand. The same hand I held when he learned to walk, when I took him to his first day of school, when his father died and we cried together all night. Thank you, son. Do not thank me, Mom. This is what I should have done from the beginning. How did you know Mrs. Robinson sent me the photos? I froze. Mrs. Robinson. She wrote to me a month ago. She told me to look for her on Facebook because she had to talk to me. She told me everything, how Ashley treated you, how she saw you looking worse and worse. She even sent me photos of you cleaning, cooking, serving. I did not believe her at first. I thought she was exaggerating, but then I started investigating, and I found everything else. Mrs. Robinson, my neighbor, my friend, the one who never abandoned me. She hired a private investigator with her own money. Matt continued. He followed Ashley for 3 weeks. He got the photos with Chris. He documented every outing, every lie. He gave it all to me in a manila envelope last Tuesday. Tears rolled down my cheeks, but now they were different. They were tears of relief, of gratitude. I also have something to tell you, Mom. Matt's tone changed. He got serious. What is it, son? Your house, the one in Pleasant View. I never really closed it up. What do you mean I hired someone to take care of it, to water the plants, to keep everything as it was? I have paid the utilities, everything. My heart skipped a beat. Why? Because I always knew you were going to come back. Sometimes justice does not arrive when you expect it. It arrives when you least imagine it, in the form you least anticipate, from the hands you never thought. 45 minutes later, Ashley came down the stairs dragging 2 large suitcases. Her eyes were red, her makeup was running, her hair was messy. There was nothing left of the perfect and controlled woman who had been my tormentor for months. Matt was standing by the door, arms crossed. I remained seated on the sofa, watching, a silent witness to the end of this nightmare. Ready. I am leaving now, Ashley said with a broken voice. Wait. Matt raised a hand. Before you go, there is something else. He took a new folder out of his briefcase. He opened it on the coffee table. These are the divorce papers. They are already prepared, signed by me. Only your signature is missing. Ashley paled even more. Already so fast, my lawyer prepared them on Wednesday as soon as we confirmed all the fraud. You can sign them now or wait for a process server to deliver them to your new address. You decide. Ashley looked at the papers as if they were poisonous snakes. If I sign right now, what do I get? Matt let out a dry laugh. Humorless. What do you get? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I already explained that to you. The prenup makes it very clear. But we were married for 3 years. There must be something. There was something. And you stole it. My mother's $30,000. Those were yours if you had been honest, if you had been a good wife, a good daughter-in-law, but you chose to be a thief. Matt's words were like sentences, cold, definitive. Ashley looked for my gaze, one last time. Mrs. Hope, if you withdraw the complaint, I can return the money. Little by little. I swear that... No. My voice sounded firmer than I felt inside. No deals, no negotiations. You made your choice. Now live with the consequences. I stood up. I walked towards her slowly. This time, I was not trembling. I was not crying. I was completely whole. Do you know what is the worst of all, Ashley? It is not what you did to me. It is what you did to him. I pointed at Matt. He loved you. Truly. He worked like a mule to give you the life you wanted. He came back tired, but he always asked you how your day was. He respected you. He admired you. And you used him as a ladder, as a bank, as a fool. Ashley looked down. That is something you will never be able to repair, because the love you destroy does not return, and the respect you lose is not recovered. I took the documents from the table. I put them in her hands. Sign. And go? Before I change my mind and ask for you to be arrested right here. Ashley took the pen with trembling hands. She signed every page without reading. She knew she had lost any bargaining power. When she finished, Matt took the documents. He reviewed them quickly. He put them in his folder. One more thing, he said before she took her suitcases. He took out his phone again. He opened his banking app. He showed her the screen. I just froze all the joint accounts. I blocked your credit cards linked to my name. I canceled your car insurance that I was paying for. I removed your access to any service or platform that was under my name. Ashley opened her eyes in panic. But how am I going to... That is your problem. Call Chris. Surely he will help you with all that true love you have for each other. The sarcasm in his voice was sharp as a razor. Ashley took her suitcases. She opened the door. She stopped at the threshold. This is not going to stay like this. I am going to fight. I am going to... Do it, Matt interrupted her. Please do it, because I have much more evidence that I have not shown. Security videos, messages, testimonies. And every time you fight, every time you try something, I am going to present more evidence. Until you not only lose the divorce, but end up in jail for fraud. They looked at each other for 5 long seconds. Ashley left, without saying goodbye, without looking back. We heard her footsteps moving away down the sidewalk. The noise of the suitcases rolling on the pavement, the sound of a car starting, and then... silence. Matt closed the door. He leaned against it. He closed his eyes, and then... he collapsed. He did not cry, but his entire body was trembling. 3 years of marriage, of illusions, of future plans, all destroyed in a single afternoon. I approached him. I hugged him. Like when he was a child and fell in the park. Like when he cried on my shoulder the day we buried his father. It is over, son. It is over. How did I not realize, Mom? How was I so blind because you loved? And love trusts. It is not your fault. We stayed like that for minutes. Mother and son, survivors of the same storm. When he finally pulled away, his eyes were red, but his expression was different. Determined. Mom, I need us to talk. Tell me, your house in Pleasant View is ready. You can go back whenever you want. Today, if you wish. But, he paused. But first, I need us to do something. Something I should have done from the beginning. What is it protect you? Truly. Legally. So that no one can ever do to you what Ashley did. He took more documents out of his briefcase. This man had come prepared for war. We are going to armor your properties. We are going to create a trust. We are going to make sure your money is protected. And we are going to make sure you recover every last dollar she stole from you. I looked at the papers. The letters looked blurry through the tears that were gathering in my eyes again. And how are we going to recover that money? Matt smiled. It was the first real smile I had seen on him in months. That Mom is where the story gets interesting. He sat next to me. He opened his laptop. Because it turns out that Chris Miller is not just any man. And what I discovered about him is going to make Ashley wish she had never met him. Justice is not always fast. But when it arrives, prepared, when it arrives with evidence, when it arrives with the truth, it is relentless. Matt turned the laptop towards me. On the screen was a photograph of Chris Miller, 38 years old according to the document, black hair combed back, salesman's smile, navy blue suit. Chris Miller, Matt began, luxury car salesman, or at least that is what his Facebook profile says, and what is special about him, that it is a lie. It is all a lie. Matt opened another tab, an official document from the state attorney. Chris has a record. Fraud in 2019. Scammed 3 elderly women in Chicago. He promised them real estate investments. He got between $20,000 and $50,000 out of each one. He disappeared with the money. I felt a chill run down my back. He served 2 years in prison. He got out in 2022. And since then, he has been working the same scheme but more sophisticated. More sophisticated how now he does not work alone. He uses women as bait. Attractive women who marry or get involved with men who have elderly mothers with properties. The woman gains the family's trust, identifies the assets, and together they execute the fraud. The horror of what I was hearing left me speechless. Ashley is not the first mom. She is the fourth. The fourth, Matt nodded. I found 3 more women. Same pattern. They get married live with the in-laws for months, get access to bank accounts and documents, attempt transfers or forgeries, and when they are discovered, they disappear. Chris always stays in the shadows. Did the others file complaints? One did. The other 2 were ashamed. They did not want their families to know they had been scammed. That is what Chris counts on. The fear, the shame, the silence. Matt closed the laptop. But we are not going to stay silent. What do you plan to do? I already did it. I contacted the other victims. I shared all the evidence I have with them. They agreed to testify. With 4 documented cases, the prosecutor already has enough for a serious investigation. I leaned back on the sofa. My mind was barely processing everything. But there is more, continued Matt. The account where Ashley deposited your money. We tracked it, and it has $89,000. I sat up abruptly. What? But she only stole $30,000 from me. Exactly. The rest belongs to the other victims. Chris and Ashley were saving up for their great escape, the condo in Miami, the life of luxury, all financed with stolen money. Can we recover it? We are already doing it. My lawyer filed a motion for asset seizure. A judge froze the account on Friday. Neither Ashley nor Chris can touch that money. For the first time in months, I felt something like hope. And now we wait. The legal process takes time, but with all the evidence we have, it is certain. You are going to recover your money with interest every dollar. Matt took my hands. But that is not all. There is something else I want to do. He opened another folder, this time with different documents. I want us to go to a notary tomorrow. Let's legally shield your properties so that no one ever can try to take them from you again. And how is that done? An irrevocable trust. Your house and your land remain protected. Only you can dispose of them. No one else. Not even me. I looked him in the eyes. Not even you, not even me, Mom. Because what I learned in all this is that trust is not enough. You need legal, real, solid protection. The tears rolled down my cheeks again, but now they were different. They were tears of relief, of gratitude, of love. I also want you to return to your house, said Matt. To your house, where your memories are, where Dad is, where your life is. And you, I am going to stay here for now. I need to sell this house, close this chapter. But I will visit you every weekend, like before, as it should be. Do you not want me to stay with you? Matt shook his head. No, Mom. You deserve your space, your freedom, your peace. For months I took all that away from you without realizing it. It is time for you to get it back. He hugged me tight, like he hadn't done since he was a child. Forgive me for not seeing you, for not listening to you, for not protecting you. That is enough, son. It is over. No, it is not over. And I am going to spend the rest of my life making up for it. We stayed like that, mother and son, survivors. Outside, the sun was beginning to set. The golden light entered through the windows of that house that was never mine, that I never wanted to be mine. And for the first time in months, I breathed deeply, because I knew that tomorrow I was going to wake up in my bed, in my house, surrounded by my memories, because the nightmare was over, or at least that is what I thought, because what I would discover in the following days would teach me that justice is not just about recovering what was taken from you. It is about making sure they can never do it again. When you hit rock bottom, there are only 2 ways: stay there or start climbing. And I had already spent too much time in the dark. Part 11, the day of family judgment. On Monday morning, Matt and I went to the attorney. Richard Stevens welcomed us in his office with a strong hug. He was a 60-year-old man in an impeccable gray suit and an honest gaze. He had been a friend of my husband for more than 20 years. "Hope I am so happy to see you well," he told me with genuine warmth. "Thanks to you, Richard." Matt told me everything. I only did the right thing. That woman tried to commit a crime right in front of my eyes. I could not stay silent. We sat in his office. Richard spread several documents on the mahogany desk. "These are the papers for the trust. Once signed, your properties remain completely protected. No one will be able to sell, transfer, or mortgage without your personal and physical authorization, not even with a power of attorney. And if something happens to me, I asked. The trust designates Matt as the sole beneficiary in case of your passing. But while you live, only you decide." I signed every document. With each signature, I felt how I recovered pieces of myself, of my autonomy, of my power. "Now about the stolen money," Richard continued. "The account is frozen, but we need to act fast because Ashley and Chris are going to try to move it." "How do you know?" asked Matt. "Because they already tried. On Saturday night, Chris tried to make an international transfer to an account in Panama. The bank blocked it automatically due to the court order. That made them nervous. And is that good for us? It is excellent, because it demonstrates an intention to hide assets. That aggravates the charges." Richard took out another envelope. This one was thicker. "Also, I have something else. The other 3 victims agreed to join a class action lawsuit. With the 4 cases together, we are talking about a fraud of more than $130,000. The figure left me breathless. Chris did that to other families, to 3 more that we found. There are probably more who have not dared to report it. Matt clenched his fists. That man deserves jail, and he is going to get it. The prosecutor's office has already issued an arrest warrant. It is a matter of days. We left the law office with a strange feeling. It was relief mixed with something else, with power, with recovered control. "What is next, son?" I asked while we walked to the parking lot. "Now we go to your house." "To my house, yes. It is time for you to return." The drive to Pleasant View was silent. I looked out the window, watching the familiar streets pass by, the park where Matt played as a child, the bakery where my husband bought sweetbread every Sunday, the stationery store that had been mine. When we turned onto Magnolia Street, my heart began to beat faster, and then I saw it. My house, the sand-colored walls, the green gate, and the bougainvilleas. My God, the purple bougainvilleas were more beautiful than ever. They had grown, covering almost the entire front fence in a cascade of flowers. "I hired Mr. Jacobs to take care of them," Matt explained. "He watered them every other day. He put fertilizer on them." I got out of the car with trembling legs. I walked towards the gate. Matt handed me the keys, my keys, the ones I had left months ago. I opened the door slowly. The smell hit me first, of home, of shelter, of memories. We entered. Everything was exactly as I had left it. The furniture in its place, the terracotta curtains hanging, the photographs on the wall, and there, on the porch next to the garden, was the wicker rocking chair. I could not finish the question. I found it said Matt. Ashley sold it at a flea market. I paid $300 to the man who bought it. I told him it belonged to my dad. He understood. I walked towards the rocking chair. I ran my fingers over the woven wicker. I sat down, and I rocked, like my husband used to do every afternoon. Tears rolled down my cheeks, but I did not stop them. "Welcome home, Mom," whispered Matt. We spent the rest of the day cleaning dust, opening windows, letting the fresh air enter. Matt brought the boxes with the photographs that Ashley had hidden. We hung them again, one by one. My husband at our wedding, Matt as a baby, our complete family. At sunset, Matt made coffee. We sat on the porch watching the bougainvilleas sway in the breeze. "Mom, there is something I have not told you." His tone alerted me. "What is it?" Ashley called me today, 3 times. What did she want to ask for forgiveness to beg me to withdraw the complaints? She says Chris manipulated her, that she is a victim too. Do you believe her? Matt shook his head slowly. I do not know. Maybe it is true. Maybe Chris manipulated her. But that does not erase what she did to you, what she did to us. What did you tell her? That it was too late, that the wheels of justice are already in motion. I rocked in silence, digesting everything. Do you think I did the right thing? Matt asked with a small voice. I looked at him. My son. My only son. The good man I had raised. Yes, because it is not about revenge. It is about justice, about her understanding that actions have consequences. Matt nodded. Tomorrow we have a meeting at the district attorney's office. They are going to present the formal charges. Will you come? Do you want me to go? I need you to go. I need you to see how this ends. Then I will go. That night I slept in my bed, in my house, surrounded by my things, and for the first time in months I rested. Justice does not always arrive in the form you expect, but when it arrives with truth, with evidence, and with witnesses, it is inevitable. The district attorney's office was a gray and imposing building. Matt and I arrived at 9 in the morning on Tuesday. In the waiting room were the other 3 victims. A woman of about 70, thin, with white hair gathered in a bun. Her name was Teresa. Another of 65, sturdy, with thick glasses. Her name was Bianca. And the third, Alice, 72 years old, with a cane and a firm gaze. We recognized each other immediately, not from having seen each other before, but because we shared the same wound. You too? Teresa asked when I sat next to her. Too? They stole $28,000 from me, said Bianca with a trembling voice. My life savings for my granddaughter's college. $42,000 from me, added Teresa. It was for my hip surgery. Now I cannot walk well. Alice hit the floor with her cane. $26,000 from me. My husband's life insurance, the only thing he left me when he died. Every story was a dagger. Every figure represented destroyed dreams, ignored needs, betrayed trust. And you, Alice asked me. $34,000, my savings, what my husband and I gathered in 30 years. We remained in silence. 4 older women. 4 deceived families, over $130,000 stolen. The door opened. A young attorney came out with folders in her hands. Mrs. Hope Delgado, Teresa Morales, Bianca Ramirez, and Alice Soto. We all nodded. I am the prosecutor in charge of your case. Come in, please. We entered a conference room. There was a long table with plastic chairs. In a corner, a video camera recording. First of all, I want to thank you for coming. I know it is not easy, began the attorney. We have enough evidence to prosecute both Chris Miller and the 4 women involved, including Ashley Garcia. Ashley too? I asked, surprised. Of course. She was not a victim. She was an accomplice. The evidence clearly demonstrates it. The attorney spread out documents, photographs, printouts of messages. Chris and Ashley met 6 years ago in a sales course. Since then, they have worked together on at least 7 cases. You 4 are the ones we were able to document, but we believe there are more. 7 families? Asked Bianca in disbelief. Minimum. Chris has a method. He identifies professional middle-class men, preferably with widowed mothers who have properties. Ashley or another woman approaches the man, starts a relationship, gets married, or moves in with him. She gains the family's trust, and when she has access to accounts and documents, she executes. Teresa began to cry silently. They transfer the money to joint accounts, wait a few months, and then try to transfer it abroad before disappearing. Try? Asked Matt. Yes, because this time they did not succeed. Thanks to the fact that the attorney Richard Stevens alerted in time and Mr. Matt acted quickly, we froze everything before they could move it. The prosecutor smiled for the first time. The $89,000 that are in the blocked account, will be returned to each one proportionally according to what was stolen, plus damages." Bianca let out a sob of relief. "Really? Are we going to get our money back?" "Yes. Not all immediately. The process takes between 3 and 6 months, but you are going to get it back." For the first time, I felt I could breathe fully. "And them Chris and Ashley?" asked Alice. "Chris already has an arrest warrant. We are actively looking for him. Ashley is cooperating." "Cooperating?" The attorney nodded. "She came yesterday, alone. She asked for a deal. She offered to testify against Chris, hand over evidence, testify in exchange for a reduced sentence." I felt a mixture of emotions, rage, disbelief, and something like pity. "And are you going to accept?" asked Matt with a hard tone. "It depends on how useful her testimony is, but even with a deal, she is going to face charges, probably 2 years in prison and restitution of damages. 2 years. For destroying lives, for stealing dreams, for betraying trust. And Chris," I insisted, "if we catch him with the record he has and the new charges he is looking at, between 8 and 12 years, without possibility of reduction." The meeting lasted 2 more hours. We signed statements, answered questions, shared evidence. When we left, the 4 of us hugged strangers who became sisters through shared pain. "God bless you," said Teresa. "See you at the trial," added Bianca. Alice squeezed my hand. "You were brave to report first. Thanks to that, we also dared." Those words broke me and healed me at the same time. In the parking lot, Matt hugged me tight. "It is over, Mom. It is over." "Is it really over?" "Yes. Now all that is left is to live." We drove back to Pleasant View. The sun shone differently. The air smelled cleaner. When we arrived at the house, there was a van parked outside. Mrs. Robinson got out of it with a steaming casserole dish. "Hope I brought you my famous pot roast to celebrate that you came back home." Behind her came Lupita with her baby, and Mr. Jacobs with a grocery bag. "The neighbors gathered some groceries, so you do not worry about anything these days," said Mr. Jacobs shyly. I was speechless. My community, my neighbors, my people. That afternoon we ate together in the garden under the purple bougainvilleas, with the smell of dinner filling the air with laughter and hugs, and the warmth of knowing you are accompanied. And I understood something fundamental. Wealth is not in what you have. It is in who holds you when you fall. Sometimes justice arrives in unexpected ways, not only from the courts, also from the neighbors who never abandoned you. 6 months later, I am sitting in the wicker rocking chair on the porch of my house. It is 6 in the afternoon and the sun paints the sky orange and pink. The purple bougainvilleas are at their best, blooming like never before. I have a cup of coffee in my hands, pot coffee with cinnamon like my mother taught me to prepare it. And for the first time in years, I feel at peace. Chris Miller was arrested 3 weeks after that meeting at the prosecutor's office. He tried to flee to Guatemala, but they detained him at the border. Now he is in state prison serving a 10-year sentence without the possibility of early release. Ashley fulfilled her part of the deal. She testified. She handed over evidence. She confessed everything. They gave her 2.5 years, but with the possibility of serving them on probation if she completes a rehabilitation and community service program. I saw her only once after the trial. It was at the courthouse the day of the sentencing. She looked different. No makeup, with her hair in a simple ponytail, discreet clothes, swollen eyes. When she saw me, she looked down. She did not dare to approach. I did not seek to talk to her either. Some wounds do not need words, just time. I recovered my $34,000. With interest, it was $41,000. That money is now in a safe investment account managed by a trusted bank. It generates modest but real returns. Teresa, Bianca, and Alice also recovered their money. We meet once a month for coffee. We became friends, battle sisters, as Teresa says. Matt sold the house where he lived with Ashley. He did not want to keep a single memory of that place. With that money, he bought a small apartment 15 minutes from here. He comes to eat every Sunday. He is going to therapy. He says he needs to heal. to understand how he did not see the signs, to learn to trust again. I also went to therapy for 3 months. Doctor. Montoya helped me understand something important, that I was not weak for allowing the abuse, that emotional abuse is systematic, subtle, designed precisely so that you do not see it until it is too late. It was not your fault, she repeated to me in every session. You were the victim of an expert manipulator. Those words released me from a guilt I did not deserve to carry. My house filled with life again. The terracotta curtains are back. The photographs hang on every wall. My husband's rocking chair has its place of honor on the porch. I opened a small workshop in the guest room. I teach sewing to women in the neighborhood. We meet twice a week. We embroider, we knit, we talk. We call it the Invincibles. There are 8 of us, all over 60, all with stories of resilience. Some widows, others divorced, some single by choice, but all invincible. We sell what we make at a local market. Embroidered tablecloths, knitted cushions, shawls. We do not earn much, but it is not about the money. It is about the company, the purpose, about feeling useful and valued. Mrs. Robinson is part of the group. She was the one who really saved me, the one who opened Matt's eyes, the one who never stopped seeing me. I knew something was wrong, she told me one day while we were embroidering. You looked more and more faded, like a candle consuming itself. Why didn't you tell me directly? Because you would not have believed me. When you are in the middle of abuse, you cannot see it. You need someone from the outside to show you the mirror. She was right. The land in the rural county is still mine. Matt suggested I sell it to have more liquidity, but I decided to keep it. Maybe someday I will build that country house my husband and I dreamed of. Or maybe I will leave it to Matt. Or maybe I will simply keep it as a reminder that I can. On Sundays, after eating with Matt, we sit in the garden. He tells me about his work, his plans, the women he has met, but with whom he still does not dare to start anything serious. Give it time, my son. The heart heals at its own pace. And you, Mom, have you healed? The question takes me by surprise every time he asks it. I am working on it every day a little more. And it is true, there are good days and difficult days where I feel strong, and days where the memory of those dark months hits me without warning. But even on difficult days, I know something I did not know before. I know I can survive. I know I am stronger than I thought. I know I deserve respect, dignity, and love. And I know that never, never again will I allow anyone to make me feel less than what I am. This afternoon, while I rock in my husband's rocking chair, I think about all the road traveled, about the woman I was, about the woman I almost lost, about the woman I am now. And I smile, because true justice was not seeing Ashley convicted. It was not recovering my money. It was not even returning to my house. True justice was recovering myself. Sometimes I think about that day with the broom, about the tears that fell on the pavement, about the humiliation that broke me but also woke me up. Because I learned one thing. It is never too late to defend what you built. It is never too late to remind everyone who you are. And it is never, never too late to sweep, but only the trash that does not belong to you. Dignity is not given. It is not negotiated. It is not begged for. It is defended. And I hope Delgado, widow of Mendoza, 67 years old, finally learned to defend mine. The end. If this story touched something in your heart, if it made you reflect on dignity, respect, and the courage to defend yourself, leave me your comment. Tell me where you are watching us from. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for more real-life stories that remind us that it is never too late to recover what is ours. Because true wealth is not in what you possess. It is in what you do not allow them to take away.